Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FortressCraft Evolved. I'm AxionEvolved, and it's been a while. You know, I'll just come out and say it. I started off with a little break. We upgraded some hardware, and then a bunch of other games came out, and I kind of, got a little sidetracked. I was doing this and that, and, I felt that it was about time to get back and finish off this series. So here we are. This is what we did last time. And let's figure out what we're going to do today. But of course, before we actually get into it, I can't let you all forget to do me a favor and scroll down just a little bit. Hit that subscribe button. I'm still trying to hit that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. We got 6 months to do it. I think we can do it. And now let's actually get right back into this video. So we got this thing going still. It's slowly powering itself up. I think at this point... 168 hours, right? What is that? That's like a week plus, because I don't see that timer going down. So this, although this, the orbital power transmitter, although it represents the end of the base game, or at least the beginning of the end of the base game, I don't, like I said, the point of this playthrough is really to make our factory. And I'm not in a super rush to do this. The only thing that I would actually probably do is take out the hive mind over there, because you can see, we're getting attacked there, and we're going to have like quite a bit of more building that we got to do in this general area, because one of the things we have to start thinking about is our tier 3 stuff. And as you can tell, like, my factory is getting destroyed in this general area. So taking out that overmind would be, I think, pretty beneficial. And oh my gosh, look at all those drops. That's another thing I've been realizing. Now that we got the spider bot all set up, the drops way out here just kind of stay way out here. So those are all going to be beneficial, right? And we want to keep those. So I'm going to throw down a couple more Falcors. I think Spiderbot has Falcors on him. He's got some beacons somewhere, and I know that it's only like 2, right? So the spider cores, they can only do so much, right? So that should help us out. And again, this is it's kind of like a cascade effect, right? We got a lot of stuff that depends on stuff ahead of it, right? So one of the things, right, if I'm anticipating what I need to do for the frozen factory before I even get down there. Look at that. There's so much shadow. Look at this shadow. I cannot escape it. And just quick side note, if things look different, I don't know how they'll render out. But while I'm playing, I'm still playing on the same graphic quality level, but I've got much upgraded hardware. So I'm hoping that kind of smooths out the gameplay and the recordings, and I hope they render through on YouTube a little bit better, because I noticed I was losing quite a bit of quality when I would render out those videos. But man, let me tell you, this looks good. It looks good for my end. I'm hoping I can figure out how to export it in a way where it looks good for you guys. But man, this is something else still. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. So we've got, there's a couple things we got to do, right? First things first, we're gonna end up needing to build the C5 at some point, right? And if we look here. If we look at what it needs, I think we're going to have enough. In fact, I could probably just start, yeah? We need what? Oh, whoops. I built 2 times the amount I needed. All right, well, we got 175 and then some. Oh, I guess I didn't realize it made 5 at a time. Whatever, we got enough. I'll just macerate the rest. So the C5 needs to go down. In fact, let's go down there and look, because it might be a little bit easier to explain while I'm down there. So again, this is the frozen factory cold caverns area that you can see here. And you see, we're still digging some stuff out. Stuff's rendering in. There's a couple things that we need to kind of consider, right? Number one, where is the C5 going to go? Now, as far as I can remember, the minute you complete the C5, it immediately spawns 8 cryoplasm spawners in all the cardinal directions, right? I think there are 250 blocks from the from the C5, the middle of the C5. So one of the things I like to do, one thing I did in the last season, was I kind of went out to an arbitrary distance, and I built a wall. Now this is just unexcavated frozen factory stuff, or I should say cold cavern block down here. But I will want to put up some kind of perimeter. I don't know if we're going to use this block for the perimeter wall, or maybe we use something different, something a little bit, I don't know, something a little bit better maybe. I mean, we could go crazy maybe and use glass or something, but we'll kind of figure out what we do the actual perimeter wall out of. So, I mean, with these mods, there's so many options, and I don't even know what to do. So we'll kind of figure that out. But, you know, placing the C5 is almost like the last step in the preparatory phase of all this, right? So you can see we have power coming down, and that's fine. You know, we're going to need the power coming down, but I guess I don't want to have to go back later and update the way we've got the power run, right? So at the surface, I have a T4 battery, and I'm eventually going to have a T4 battery down here. But one of the problems down here is, and as you can see, they're everywhere. We got camel bots literally everywhere. Like there's one, there's 100 of them, right? And although they're not difficult to fight necessarily, they will try to grab power out of any batteries or power sources that are on the ground, right? And that's more annoying than anything. Like it's not necessarily dangerous, but it's annoying, right? So one of the things I've been considering is maybe running the power on the ceiling, which if I go full light here, you can see like there's the ceiling right there. I'll fill in all those holes, and to help me with that, I know I've talked about these before, but I'm going to use these electric lights right here, and that's going to kind of be fed from a network of power storage blocks. So, you know, kind of same thing like this, right? We'll have just like a web of power storage blocks with a light on the bottom, and that'll help light everything up and make it easy to see and kind of make it just generally better, so I can get rid of all these torches eventually. And so as part of that initiative, I'm thinking, I guess if we turn the light on again, I'm thinking about putting a Mark IV block right in this hole, but at ceiling level. And that's about 50 blocks up. And the reason I'm thinking about doing that is purely to kind of make a ceiling power distribution setup. Eventually using conduits, right? Conduits, if you don't know, we haven't unlocked that technology yet, but there's kind of two endgame ways to transmit power. One of them is chrome lensed Mark III laser energy transmitters, and then the other one is conduits. What's nice about conduits is that they are, I believe, a 128 range, and they are just pure 10,000 power per second transfer rate, but the way they work is they actually equalize the power between two separate, or between two Mark IV blocks, right? So if this was an example, right, this has 5,000. If I had another, if I had another battery right here, I'm not going to put it in the line because I don't want to actually break this, but if I had one full one at 5,000 and one empty one with conduits in between, they would equalize to 2,500 each, right? So that's nice because you can span twice the distance of one of these, and you can get a much bigger throughput. The downside to that is that you take a whole face from the battery, right? So one of the things I'm thinking is basically I'll have a network of tier 4 Mark IV batteries on the roof to kind of act as the power distribution network. And then what I can do is from the bottom face, I can come down to another Mark IV on the ground if I ever need power like that, right? And then we can, we can enclose it in glass or something so we don't actually fly through it and die. But you know, we're eventually going to need a way to kind of get power to those batteries. What I done initially on the last season was I used a bunch of turbines. I think like, I don't know, 20, 24 of them, going to batteries, going to some Mark V batteries, which had Mark IVs and conduits and all that. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that. Oh, the other option is geothermal, right? Geothermal eventually has a much higher generation rate than turbines, and even higher than the transfer rate that the conduits provide. But, you know, we'll have to kind of figure out where all that stuff's going to go. So there's just like a lot of prep that needs to happen before we can really commit down here. And how does this guy get up here? This dude jumped higher than I've ever seen. Crazy. Yeah. So this is all just a long way of saying that there's a lot of logistical stuff I still need to figure out. And number one to all that is I've got to figure out how I got to find tier 3 ore, tier 3 ore, the molybdenum and the chromium that are somewhere down deeper than we are. I'll have to figure out where I'm going to kind of source that, and then, you know, that's going to be a whole new logistics challenge where we either use lifts or we use matter movers, maybe. I don't know. But either way, I'm going to have to find that stuff and start processing it, because if we go back to the surface and if we look at some of the research we still have, this stuff here is not important. Missile defense, advanced energy, we're not fighting enough to worry about this. But large scale vein extraction is particularly important. You look at the chromium, molybdenum. We need this, and I'll show you why. This trencher is what we'll need to eventually start kind of mass mining all of the tier 3 ores. Casting basin, blast furnace, this is how you smelt, right? With all the pipes, this is your smelting component. Arc smelter you can use to smelt with a normal, with a basic smelter, right? So instead of one of these guys, instead of a forced induction, you put an arc attachment on it, and it'll allow you to do the tier 3 bars, right? So that's kind of be just itself something that we need to figure out in terms of, I think it probably makes sense to do mass processing down the frozen factory. And I think, I guess I could be wrong, but I feel like you can also do the blast furnace stuff down, or they're like the blast furnace casting basin. I think you could put the other materials in there too, you know, like the all these ones, right? And so that would actually be kind of interesting, where like if we kind of got rid of this, and we, like, maybe we keep the, I don't know, maybe stuff like this goes down, and we go to a huge casting basin array down in the frozen factory and have it come back up and process this way. I don't know. I mean, we're not even spending enough to kind of clear our iron yet or anything anyway. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that we look into doing eventually and kind of go with the theme. But either way, we kind of got to figure it all out. And again, here's the battery we need, right? So instead of this guy, we'd end up putting on a conduit eventually. But that's actually so far ahead. I don't even think we have the research to be able to do that yet, right? Because if we look, we've got particulate filtration. This will do, so these are the blocks you need for other stuff. Yeah, and this is so we can do particulate filtration, so we can get like the toxic gas and the sulfur gas and the freon from the cold cavern. So we'll have to make a whole bottling facility in the toxic caverns, down in the magma caves, and in the frozen factory, especially in the frozen factory area. I want to kind of go crazy with that so that we can use that eventually to like super cool all the stuff. And eventually when we do the railgun, so we can really get that like fully built out and as cooled as possible. I wish these things would shoot it. I know you can actually, in fact, I think it actually did just get killed. But you can kill these. I didn't know that until very recently. So yeah, so that's kind of frozen factory. What is going on here? Wouldn't you know it? I was cleaning up down here a little bit, broke the line. So, all right, that should... How is this even doing? Not great. Not great at all, but will survive. What is this? How much is this? Not much more. Yeah, so we're kind of getting to the point now where all of the stuff that we've been putting off is kind of needing to happen, right? So I've been talking about powering these quarries with non-coal for a while now, and yet here they are not powered by anything but coal. Maybe we do turbines? I don't know. We'd have to figure out another turbine setup. I mean, I guess we could do, you know, something where maybe the turbines come up on this block right here. So kind of something like 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one. And they're like that. And then they're up. And then we just have like a... something like that. I think that would eventually be fine. And then it's nice because we also... Oh, God, I have so much stuff in my inventory. The fullest inventory I've ever had. But it'd be nice because we have stuff over here. All of our fuel, which is doing really well. What? Oh, this has no power because it's got no coal. All right, so once that coal hits, everything should be powered on. Why is this not turbine powered? That is insane to me. Maybe I'll... Well, I got turbines right here. Maybe we'll just fix this right now. Let's see here. Do I want to come under? Well, actually, can this get power from the side? I wonder if it can accept side power. Let's see. Yeah, it takes the power out. Okay. Well, here, let's do this. We're solving one problem at a time, right? We can do this. We can do that. We can just come in like that. And then we can do this. All right, so that looks like, I mean, this is so powered up, it's not even worried about it. But once this is producing, that should help. But yeah, that, I mean, we've got so much fuel that's not a problem. We should be able to divert to doing whatever we want, right? So maybe the turbine project over here isn't that far away, to be honest. It's only 5 turbines, and I think that would power everything for a while, and then we could, you know, we can even have the turbines face into the hole so that we're not getting blasted by the exhaust. But yeah, coal replacement is gonna need to be kind of hot on the menu of things to do, and then that's what's up over here, right? And then last time I know I talked about getting some of the power infrastructure stuff set up. I just don't know if I'm going to get that done this episode. I'd have to make to automate the tier 4 batteries, which is what we'd end up having to do. Really, wouldn't help me that much right this moment because I don't even have the lenses or the conduits to really implement the power down in the frozen factory. So I think I'm going to pause on that. But one thing I do want to do is I want to get this one research started. Let me go start that. I want to start large-scale vein extraction so we can at least start using these. And we'll start that. And then part of that, need to go find some molybdenum and some chromium. So let's actually go do that right now. And so we can feed it up here. Now, one of the things to consider when finding the molybdenum and the chromium is that I'm going to eventually have to bring them back up to the surface, right? And so one of the things I was thinking about was putting the C5 kind of in this area where I'm standing right now, right? That's the main power shaft. And I don't think I want the C5 right under the main power shaft, but just a little bit off, because the main power shaft will be used to power other things too. And so I don't want that downward area to be right again, to just dead end to the C5, because then it makes power routing a little bit more difficult, right? But, you know, if we go kind of off, in fact, let's actually bring up the hollow base, because I want to see where the stuff below me is, right? And if we look, right, we've only got a few things that are below us. That should be, in fact, if I zoom in, that should be right there, the nickel. And I believe this stuff down here is down in the toxic caverns, right? So one of the things I want to do is when I make this hole, I want it to be somewhere that isn't really in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to follow this line. And I'm just going to kind of do this. And this will all make sense here in a bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to build a little enclosure. You know, kind of something like that. And again, this is just purely to keep out camo bots. Now, the chromium and the molybdenum is at, I think like 500-600s, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a battery right there. And I'm going to put a way over, so that starts getting some power. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to slap on a Mark II auto excavator. Right? Do that. It's going to go, so silent mode, and it went down 30, but let's see, we're at 250. And I want to go to, like, let's say 650. So I need that to go to 300. There we go. So now it will just dig that, you know. And I think we can actually, well, okay. So there is stuff to consider. Number one, we're going to need power down to wherever we go, because the bottom of this is going to be a base of sorts. And so we'll basically be sending power down that shaft just like it is now. So that's going to dig, and then what we're going to do once we get down there, dig out some more. So we're going to be digging out a little base area down there, and that's going to be purely for kind of getting all the trenches ready. In fact, as I get down there, I'll probably scan for unknown resources and kind of see what levels things are on, because we want to dig out an area to just operate and have lights and all that, and more importantly, like a teleporter. And hopefully we can get some of the molybdenum and the chromium in the same general area, right? So that's almost done. I'm going to let that finish completely, and then I'm going to start heading down there and figuring out, if we can, like, what we see. All right, so I did manage to find some of what we're looking for here. So we got, this is what, chromium? How much? Hopefully a decent amount. Not well, 1.8 million. That's not too bad. This will definitely not last us very long, but hopefully it'll last us long enough. And the only issue, right, is in order to harvest this, I need to get the hard rock grinder, which in itself is not a big deal. In fact, I mean, like, what does that even take? And hard rock grinder. Imbued machine blocks. Okay, like, we can obviously make this, right? The problem is that we need a 3x3 space to put that on. And looking at this, I don't quite see one yet, right? So I'm going to have to for sure excavate this. But that's not all we found. So here's our little shaft that we dug. And we only need to go down just a little bit. You can see there's a floor right there. And we're at what? 830. And coming through here. Oh, this looks promising. 10.5 million molybdenum. That is promising. Except, same issue. We're going to have to make it into a 3x3 area. Now, luckily, we have this right here, right? This could do it for us. We just have to kind of figure out how to do that. But that is something I think I'm going to save for the next episode. So, thank you all so much. I know it's been a little bit, but thank you for sticking around. I'm kind of going to get back on this grind, trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber milestone. You know, I never thought I'd even come close, but you know, I've been seeing the comments and the activity on the channel still, and I'm very appreciative to all of you. And so next episode, we're going to work on this right here. I'm going to hopefully have the frozen factory a little bit more dug out. Maybe we'll do a little bit more exploring. I mean, look at everything we got over here. You know, definitely possibilities down in this little cave area. Look at all of that. So lots more to come, lots more to do. And thank you all so much for hanging out. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.